Please learn more about Freedomizer Radio by going to freedomizerradio.com. Book us right at freedomizerradio.com. Catch you there.
And welcome back to the Truth Radio Show in our third and final hour. And I think we got our guest on the phone, Tim Hague. I hope I pronounced his last name right. He's an MMA fighter, 19-9, his record. And he's competing for the Canadian MMA World Heavyweight Championship this month, I believe. But I think this is him on the phone here. And Tim, how you doing, sir?
Hey, how's it going, buddy? It's Tim here. Yeah, I'm doing good.
Oh, great. I hope I pronounced your last name right. Is it Hague?
It's just...
I'm sorry?
My last name is just pronounced Hague.
Hague, okay. Oh, great. And so you're fighting for the Canadian World Championship, MMA Championship next month? Or March?
On March 27th in Edmonton, Alberta, I fight for the Unified MMA Canadian Heavyweight Championship. And I've got my eyes set on it, and I'm going to win that belt for sure.
Oh, that's great, and I can't wait to see that, man. And I mean, you look like a beast, man. I was a professional wrestler for a long time, and I studied MMA and never competed, but I learned a lot of different arts and all that. And my hat's off to you, man. And it takes a lot of dedication, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And my hat's off to you, and I wish you a lot of luck with that, brother.
Thank you very much. I respect professional wrestling as well. I've got some friends in the professional wrestling business, and I have a lot of respect for you guys as well. So I'm proud to be on your show.
Oh, no problem, brother. And I was talking to your buddy Eric, and he was mentioning that I know you're from Canada, but you love the Second Amendment and you love gun rights. And I asked him to get you on the show because we need people like yourself, high profile people to come out to defend gun rights, because all over the world, I mean, they're constantly trying to take people's rights away, especially the gun rights, because they don't want an armed population, because if they take the arms away, all through history shows that the Germans and the Nazis and all them, they took the guns away, then they ruled over with dictatorship. And your thoughts?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm 100% supporter of gun rights. I think if people choose to bear arms, then that's 100% their decision. You can't take people's rights away like that. It's inhumane. But you know what? Like in Canada here, we don't have to register our weapons anymore.
Good.
You just get a license and you can go purchase a gun and you don't have to register it. Now, my friend and I were at Cabela's, which is an American store, and he had recently purchased 2 guns from there. And we wanted to buy another gun that night, and they said, well, you've bought a couple guns recently, you need to fill out all this paperwork. And basically they were forcing us to register the fact that we are purchasing weapons all the time. And so someone out there still wants to know about it.
Oh, yeah. And, in the United States, we got politicians trying to constantly, make up rules. They know, the Second Amendment protects us, so they try to go through the back door. And some states say, oh, no, we need to have a doctor psychologically evaluate you. And if the doctor deems you're unfit to carry a weapon or own a weapon, you can't get one, which 99.9% chance the doctor's going to say you can't because they work for the government. And, they're constantly trying to attack our rights. And, we got criminals in the White House, Republicans and Democrats. And, they're just... Even though right now the Republicans are saying they're in favor for the guns, but ultimately both parties work for the same people. You know what I mean? And to you, how important it is for you to be able to defend yourself, your home, and your family.
Well, that's what it means to be a man to me. I've got to be able to defend and protect what's mine. That's part of the reason a woman agrees to marry a man, is because she feels protected for the rest of her life and taken care of. And I'm starting to become more of a high profile athlete, and I've got a lot of great fans. I appreciate all my support, but I've also got a lot of creeps that like to creep around and try to scare me and things like that. I get threats on the phone. So to me, it's important to be able to have that weapon in my bedroom. I can sleep good at night knowing that, if shit hits the fan and I've got to protect myself, that I can do that 100%.
Amen to that. I mean, you have to, and that's how important it is, because again, through history, people look back in history, you can see. I had a woman on, Karen Smith, not too long ago. She's a South African expat. She lives in Texas, and she explained how her people could not defend themselves from the government, and no weapons or nothing. It was restricted for even people who even own a weapon, and how they were just persecuted, exterminated, and everything else. And it just all through history shows that, and how important the Second Amendment, gun rights in particular, are important. And and in Canada, I'm not too familiar how things work in Canada and all that, but do you have legislators trying to attack your gun rights over there?
It's not as bad. It's not as bad as it is in the States. I mean, sure, there's people up here that want to take the rights away, but we as regular citizens, we don't feel as pressured as we can see on the news coming from the States.
Yeah, and that's all you have to do is turn the news on and you see it constantly. And they highlight the bad stories all the time. A criminal who goes out and shoots somebody, a bunch of people, but they don't show you, this is mainstream media, they don't show you the hundreds of stories a week, how a little girl saved a family from a home invasion with a gun. All the good stories that come out about, the firearms saving somebody's life. There's even people who carry conceal who saved cops' lives before from criminals, and they don't want to tell people that. They don't want to show the facts, all the statistics. Even the FBI has no choice to admit that states with no gun control have the lowest crime rates in the country. And look at Switzerland. In Switzerland, the Swiss, they have zero gun laws. They don't even have a statistic to register murders and crime, because it's barely any at all. So, that shows you right there. More guns equals less crime.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about controlling the masses, and if people are free and happy and they can make their own decisions, then it's a lot harder to control a population like that than it is to control a population that lives in fear and can't protect themselves. It's just, like you said, moving towards a complete dictatorship, and I fully support the Second Amendment.
That's great, and you being a fighter too, so this kind of ties into this as well. A fight against tyranny, and you being a professional fighter. You're constantly bombarded with people trying to intimidate you, try to put the fear of God into you and everything else, and you have to overcome that each step of the way. In your training as well. And I went through extensive training, but nothing like what you do. But I can only imagine the pressure that goes on you, and the mental pressure mainly. And my hat's off to you. But you being in that kind of mental state, that you know how to attack adversity and everything else, and that kind of filters into what a citizen of Canada or America is supposed to be like to defend themselves against tyranny.
Yeah, definitely. I've just kind of recently made my peace with God, and I'm not afraid to die. So, especially for what I believe in. Pardon me?
Oh, that's great, man. Congratulations, brother.
Oh, yeah. I'm not afraid to die for what I believe in, and I just sent my idea to my tattoo artist. I'm getting a tattoo just right on the side of my neck, kind of a big cloud with a halo over it, and through the cloud it's going to say, "Discover a purpose worth dying for."
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah. So I've discovered my purpose in life, and I'm proud and I'm happy, and I'm just raising my kid the best way I can, and I'm happy that we have the freedoms we do here in Canada.
Oh, that's great. And I was reading your profile here. Eric sent me, and it says that you're a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that's amazing.
Yes,
love
that's
Brazilian.
correct. Yeah, that's correct. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is an art unto itself. It's like human chess. You've got to be able to think a few steps ahead of your opponent to get the upper hand. And I'm fortunate enough to have a purple belt in that. I don't train a lot in the gi, but no-gi, my jiu-jitsu game is fairly high.
Yeah, I took a little bit of Brazilian. I took Japanese for a while, and through my uncle, and I started taking Brazilian for about a month or two. I want to go back to it. I loved it because I was a high school wrestler, state champion, and all that. So it was fun because there's no limits in Brazilian because in high school and collegiate wrestling, you're restricted to you can't lock your hands or whatever. But in Brazilian, I had a blast. It was like free for all, freestyle wrestling, and I loved it. And I do want to go back to that. And it takes a lot of dedication and everything else. And what other stuff do you got in your background?
Well, I've just got a lot of boxing experience. I had one professional boxing match that I won, and I'm planning on boxing again here in the spring. That's something that Eric and I are setting up together.
Oh, good.
I've got just 8 years of mixed martial arts training experience. That involves judo, Muay Thai, kickboxing, wrestling. Obviously, jiu-jitsu and boxing are two of my stronger points.
Yeah, boxing, it takes a ton. I tried it for about, I don't know, I think it was a month or two when I was younger. But wow, it takes a lot of stamina. And I thought I was in the best shape until I got to boxing. And the instructor taught me otherwise. I'm like, wow. So a lot of stamina is involved with that. And it's crazy.
Boxing is it's all so hard until you've become comfortable with being defeated or being beaten. That's I think where half of the exhaustion comes from is mental exhaustion. So once you can finally relax and realize that, okay, well, I'm probably going to lose. I'm not saying you ever want to become comfortable with losing, but once in training you can accept the fact that you're going to lose once in a while, then you can start to progress much more rapidly.
Yeah, basically be not afraid to lose, but, try your best.
Yes, that's right. And I think that's why I've been crushing so many people lately in my fights. I'm on a 3-fight winning streak of devastating knockouts. And it's because I'm not scared to lose. I go in there, I just throw down, and I'm just knocking everyone out.
So you got this big fight coming up in March here. It's for the MMA Heavyweight Championship in Canada there. Do you have any fights before that, or are you just prepping straight to the fight there?
I'm focused 100% on winning the Canadian belt right now. It'll be an honor to be the Canadian champion again. So that's the only thing I'm focused on right now. Is just training, staying healthy, and training for and winning that belt on March 27th.
Well, great, man. That's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see that. Is that going to be on pay-per-view or something?
Well, Eric actually wants to speak with the promoter about possibly getting it on his website. Regardless, it will be streamed online.
Oh, good. And what's your website?
Eric's website?
SomeTV.tv, I think it is.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, that's gonna be great to see, man. And now, I know going back and forth between your background and gun rights and all that. Now, your thoughts. Just overall. Now, with the United Nations stepping in, trying to step on every country's toes to take control, not only gun rights, but they're trying to push their New World Order, so to speak, their global governance on all of us, Canadians, Mexicans, United States, all over the world. I don't know if you're familiar with the New World Order and everything else, and I just want to get your take on this tyranny that's going on through the United Nations.
I actually haven't really done a whole lot of research on that topic, but it sounds very interesting. It's something I'm going to have to look into. Can you explain to me a little bit more about what's going on with the New World Order?
Well, the New World Order is basically it's a one government system. Then now that what they do is they present world peace. Yeah, and our Savior Jesus Christ tells us there's a difference between the peace the world can give you and the difference between the peace I can give you, and that peace is false through the world, and that's exactly what the UN's trying to do. They have the Pope of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis. There, he is with other Christian leaders, Muslim leaders, all to say, hey, we all serve the same God. It's a one world religion, a one world government, a one world economy. Everybody has to fall in the same statutes. Every country's individual constitution will be out the window. They'll be under a global treaty, and they say it's world peace, but it's far from it. They spread their eugenics through to depopulate the planet, as they openly call for depopulation of the planet by putting GMOs in your food or mass fluoridation of your drinking water. I mean, it's horrible.
This is this tied in with like the 5%ers and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. And
I understand now. Yeah. You know what? I think the first mistake is the marriage of church and government. I think religion. I believe that religion is 100% man-made, big business. Spirituality, on the other hand, is what I believe in. I believe in a higher power. I have no idea what it is. Could be energy or nature. I have no idea. But I think the fact that church and government are trying to accomplish this together is the first mistake.
Exactly, and that's what a lot of these mainstream Christian churches they don't understand that. I mean, Jesus Christ himself was a rebel against religion. And people say, how do you believe in Jesus and you don't belong to a religion? I don't believe in any religion. I don't follow any of them because Jesus told us to stay away from religions because they're traditions of men. And what they do is the government, they establish these religions behind the scene. This way they could control the population, rob you blind, and dictate what the Bible actually says. It's a big difference from what the church teaches and what you read on your own. And God wants you to read the Bible on your own versus having this false church with a false prophet reading the Bible to you, and they use it to dictate and manipulate the population to keep it under control so government can stomp all over you. And you're exactly right. Every religion on the planet is completely evil. And they establish a system to keep everybody under control, and they don't want you reading the Bible on your own. They don't want you knowing God on your own. They want you to do what you're told, and this is what we say, not what the Bible says, and that's exactly what the New World Order religion is. It's called the ecumenical system. It's being led by the Pope. The UN actually adopted this, and they want to establish this one world religion. Say, hey, we all serve the same God, but you have to follow under our standards, which is a Luciferian religion.
Right.
And it's very satanic, to the core, the whole New World Order system. And, they even blatantly put out their Judge of Guidestones. They want to depopulate the planet. Good 90% or better. They only want 500 million people. That's extinguishing 6.5 billion people off the planet. And, they're constantly trying to do this to us.
Yeah, I've looked into a little bit of that with the Freemasons and the 5%ers, things like that. It's pretty scary because it's all factual information. It's just kind of upsetting to me that the general public can't do their own research. Or it's like they've already started to indoctrinate us. People already live in fear. They don't want to do their own research. They don't want to read the Bible on their own. They don't want to find their own God. It's scary, man. It's like it's happening, but there's some of us, like you and myself, and people that will stand for what we believe in.
Exactly, and that's what they fear is a awake population. And I could be here for hours telling you what the New World Order is and all the system of design. And they infiltrate every infrastructure of our life through the schools. Especially the schools. They totally indoctrinated the schools to dumb us down, literally. And it's a conglomerate. It's an evil mess. It really is. And it takes people like us, to wake people up to say, hey, no, this ain't right. We're standing up against it. And that's what they hate. The thing is, they act like they're all big, powerful, and mighty, but the actuality is we, the people, are more powerful and mighty. And when they fear the dead.
Strength in numbers. Yeah, that's right. There's strength in numbers. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's 100% correct.
And you ever see the movie A Bug's Life? It's a Pixar film.
No. A Bug's Life?
Yeah.
No, I actually haven't. I should probably watch that with my kid one of these days, though.
Yeah, when you watch it, it's very symbolic. I know it's just an animated cartoon, whatever, but it's very symbolic. It's basically, it shows a colony of ants. They all do the same thing, and they all take orders from the tyrants of them, of the big grasshoppers. And there's not many grasshoppers compared to the number of ants, but the ants think they're inferior to I call them cockroaches, but the grasshoppers, and the grasshoppers have their way with them. And one ant started asking questions and standing up against them, and they tried to shut him up. And he woke up the whole colony, and eventually, long story short, and when the ants realized, hey, wait a minute, even though they're bigger than us, we outnumber them thousands to one. And when he woke up, the movie shows a symbolic thing of how the world is actually right now. You know, the elite, they act like these mighty, big, powerful people, but in actuality, we outnumber them. Same thing with the Jews and Hitler. You know what I mean? The Jews outnumbered the Nazis hundreds to one. And if they were to become aware of that at the time, they would easily overpower the Nazis, easily. But they set up the solar system for all of us, as we're a bunch of ants, we do what we're told, and that's it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, the term sheeple, or referring to people as sheep, it's just we're led around, and you know the wool has been pulling over our eyes, and it's tough to deal with, but you know, you can what can we do, right? We can start by talking about it on an online radio show.
Exactly. And, you know, people tell you, oh, just don't worry. I'm sure you get that all the time, too, when you bring up things or something, you know, like people say, oh, what are we going to do? There's nothing we could do about it. You know, I mean, those people right there, I mean, they just stick their head in the sand, and they got their rear ends up in the air, and they get what's coming to them every time. But people like us, we're like, hell no. You know, I don't like what's going on, and I'm going to stand up against you. And you being a fighter, too, I mean, that ties into all of this. I mean, because I've been through, even though pro wrestling ain't the same, you know, it's rigged who's going to win, whatnot, but, you know, I mean, the dedication it takes to get into that gym, the dedication to get in shape, the dedication to be who you want to be, you know what I mean, and, yeah, it takes a lot, and that, I mean, that gives you that fighting spirit, and that ties into this as well, as a regular citizen as well.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I can even... I'd never speak that poorly of my mother. I love my mother with all my heart, but I can see it in her. I became a teacher to begin with because I didn't know what else to do. I went to college, so I got my teaching degree, and I taught for a year. And then I just found out that I could make money fighting. So for the last 8 years or so, you know, I've kind of lived paycheck to paycheck. You know, I'll pick up a sponsor here or there, or then I'll have a fight and I get paid then. And, you know, I've just chased my dream and done what I want, and I'm very happy that I've done that. But my mom doesn't understand. She's like, well, you're going to fight? And I say, yeah, I'm going to fight. It's like, well, how are you going to make a regular paycheck doing that? She can't understand that, you know, maybe you can be your own boss in this life. Maybe you can do whatever you want and find out how to make money at it and be happy.
Yeah.
Because she's just worked for the man for 30 years, right?
Exactly, and that's where they condition everybody just to be a cog in a wheel. You know what I mean? Keep the big government train rolling. You know what I mean? But you stepped out of that. You know what I mean? My goal at the time was to be in the WWE. You know what I mean? But you know, God, you know, shift me to this direction here. And I'm glad because I mean I love wrestling. I loved being in all that physical stuff. But I mean, you know, God led me in this direction. And you know, 6 years later now, I've woken up people all over the planet, especially being part of InfoWars. And I mean, I'm blessed, and I couldn't be any happier. But yeah, I do want to actually get back in the ring. I want to get back in the gym pretty soon, and you know, get back in the ring, and you know, because I love it. It's just like the spirit of competition. You know what I mean? Even though we know who's gonna win, but you gotta still go out there and put on a good show. And you know, it takes a lot of physical attributes to do that. And I always wanted to try to you know, get into MMA. You know, just one, you know, compete in one match. I think I'd be happy. You know, just you know, see what it's like. You know.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what part of our animal instincts are all about is testing ourselves to the max. what better way to test yourself and to get in a cage and have the door locked, and basically it's one man is getting out of there while the other one is becoming incapacitated. It's the ultimate test of being human, I think. So that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's one-on-one, and it's like fight or go down, and you're risking your life too. And a lot of people don't even know that. I mean, like, one shot, the right way could kill somebody instantly, and you're risking your life.
Yeah, definitely. It's the ultimate adrenaline rush because of that. It might even be kind of an addiction, but I think there's worse addictions I could have than wanting to just get up, sleep in, and go train twice a day, and then every few months have a fight.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a good high. I think it is. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Pardon me?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no. I forget what I was even going to say, so go ahead.
No, I was saying it was addiction, it really is, and it's adrenaline high. I know where that comes from and everything. And now, all this combined, what made you start to wonder, hey, wait, there's things going on that I don't like, and because I know what I'm trying to say is, we all grew up in a system, a controlled system, and kind of pulled you out of it to say, hey, wait a minute, I don't like stuff that's going on. I don't like how they're trying to take Americans' gun rights away, or our gun rights and everything else, and not just guns, but freedom altogether. What in particular woke you up?
You know what? I think just deciding that I didn't have to work for anybody to make a living, and being my own boss, it's allowed me to just step back. I'm not a regular member of society where I go to work every day and taxes are taken off every check. I'm my own boss, and I've been able to step back, and I kind of look at the world differently. We can all be our own leaders. We don't need to work 9-to-5 jobs. I mean, sure, there's a place for that, but structure could be different, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you're living a dream, to work for yourself and not be bound or binded by anyone or any company. That's, it's a great accomplishment. It really is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's great. There might not be a fight card coming up for Unified right away, so I can just get on the phone to World Series of Fighting or whatever. One FC, I can travel to China if I want. So I just get on the phone and I say, well, I want to fight in 2 months, and find myself a fight, start training for it. It's awesome.
Now, have you tried out or been offered anything by the UFC?
Pardon me?
Have you been offered a fight or anything by the Ultimate Fighting Championship?
Yeah, I fought for the UFC 5 times from 2009 to 2011, and really it wasn't what I thought it would be. I thought when I made the UFC I would be rich, and I found that I make more money when I fight here in Edmonton because of ticket sales and local sponsorship and things like that. I actually probably made less when I fought for the UFC. So, I mean, it was a cool experience to be able to fight in the MGM Grand and the Mandalay Bay and everything like that. I would never want to do anything differently, but it sure would have been nice to be paid a little more.
Yeah, and you would expect that too, especially that viewing audience. I mean, and all the sponsors they got, you expect them to pay you some, a real good salary anyway. And now, have you met who have you met that's like very famous, like Brock Lesnar? You ever meet him before?
Yeah, actually, when Brock Lesnar was getting ready to fight Alistair Overeem, they got a hold of me, brought me down to Alexandria, Minnesota, where his gym is, and I was one of his training partners for a week there. And I've met all the famous guys: Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, Vanderlei Silva, all the superstars, Anderson Silva, GSP. It was pretty cool experience to be able to fight in the UFC.
Oh, that's great. And what's your ultimate? I know you want to win this title back. You had it once before.
Well, yeah, I was the Canadian heavyweight champion, but that was in King of the Cage.
Oh, okay.
There's different organizations, but there's only one real champion in Canada. Now, the number one ranked guy in Canada, his name is Smelino Rama, and he's a World Series of Fighting world heavyweight champion. He's not the Canadian champ anymore. So when I win this Canadian title, I'll be the man in Canada to beat.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And,
I hope you win.
And moving forward, then I'm probably going to want to try and go for that world title again.
Oh, good. And your opponent in March is Tanner Barca, 6-0, and you got a 19-9 record, 28 fights. So I mean, like, you got the experience, definitely.
Yeah, I definitely have the experience. He's got the youth and tenacity on his side. He's a tenacious fighter. He trains hard and fights hard. He kind of reminds me a bit of myself when I was starting, but I think my biggest advantage is that I'm going to be bigger, stronger, and faster than him, and he won't have an answer for that.
Oh, good, man. You rip him apart, brother. Yeah, just go in there like a beast. I mean, I seen your pictures, man. You look like a beast, bro. I wouldn't want to get in the cage with you.
Yeah, I'm pretty big. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said I wouldn't want to get in the cage with you, man. That'd be like
I think I would have been a great NFL football player. I mean, I became a professional athlete on my own anyways. But growing up, I never had the opportunity to play any football. But being 6'3", 290 pounds, naturally, I think I would have been a great football player.
Yeah. Could have been playing for the Patriots, oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Show me the money. I'd play for whoever.
Oh yeah, you should join. There's a bunch of semi-pro teams you can join, and that leads to professional. So that's not other. How old are you again?
I'm 30 years old.
Oh yeah, still young, man.
Yeah. Well, you never know what can happen. I guess I didn't even know that there were semi-professional teams you could play for.
Yeah, I mean, you just Google it. I mean, type it around and look around, and I mean, they're always having open tryouts and everything else. And I think you actually do get paid for semi-pro. And when you go to the pro, of course, you get paid big money. But they're always looking for new people constantly. And you don't even need to have.
Oh, cool, man.
My friend Tim, I mean, he's a semi-pro. He was on for a while on the New England Patriots practice squad, and he gets paid good money being on a semi-pro team. And so it's all. I mean, in Canada too, they have a lot of leagues as well. But I mean, like, it's always out there, man. I mean, it keeps you physical while you're not fighting, and it's good stuff. And because I was on the high school team, wrestling and football, and I found out that both of them actually work with each other. I mean, the drive forward helps you with the wrestling helps you tackle somebody on the football field. So I think the two sports go hand in hand with each other and help with each other in certain aspects. And there's a lot of physical things you learn on both sides of the fence, and which apply on both. Well, all your skills combined will give you greater skills in each profession. Especially MMA and everything. And now, before we go, do you have any websites you want to promote? Your personal website and everything else?
If people want to follow me, they can follow me on Facebook. My Facebook fan page is Tim the Thrashing Machine Hague. Hague spelled Hague. So that's Tim the Thrashing Machine Hague. And on Instagram, I'm very active as well. And my handle on there is @LeftHookHague. And on Twitter, I'm at Tim_Hague. And I'm very active on social media. I like to interact with my fans a lot, and I appreciate all my followers.
Oh, definitely, man. And I'm gonna hit you up on Facebook too, man. I definitely want to see this fight, and Eric's definitely got to broadcast it on some TV.tv. That's his brand new website there. It's gonna. I mean, I see a lot of promising stuff for that channel there. I'm trying to get my show on there, but it's when you go down the rabbit hole, a lot of networks don't like that too much because of sponsors. You know what I mean? Not because they don't want you, because of the sponsors.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of stations I was on in here in Rhode Island. I mean, just me talking about stuff, and some of the sponsors of the station itself started complaining about me because, I mean, I just tell the truth. I don't care who I offend. And, if it's the truth, I mean, it hurts me, too, to tell the truth sometimes, but, it's going to be told. And, you know how it is, too, you know what I mean? And you get backlash about stuff yourself. And but, yeah, I want to thank you for joining us. And I definitely want to bring you back on. I'm trying to get you an interview with Infowars.com as well about your pro-Second Amendment approach and everything else. And I think they're interested, so they asked for your information, and that'll be great exposure for you too. And especially if, after your fight here, I'd like to have you back on the show to tell especially I know you're gonna win. So anyway, thank you.
Thank
for your
you
time,
very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me, and all the best to you.
Thank you, Tim, and God bless you, brother. Good luck, man.
God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Now, is Tim Hague, MMA, he's going to be an MMA champion, and we wish him luck, man. It'll be his 20th victory. So we, Truth Radio Show here, wish him luck.